In this video, I'm going to do a product review for a 2-inch knife from Axial gear called the Dart. And I'm going to talk about it as a potential self-defense tool. If you want to know how to actually use a knife in a self-defense situation, I have a separate video on that and I'll link to it below. As with any product review that I do, I like to give both the pros and the cons of a product based on my own personal perspective and how I would use it. Hopefully it will give you some insight into whether or not it's useful for you based on how you would intend to use it. But it's my own personal opinion. This is not a paid commercial. This is an honest review. So what is it? The Axial Dart is marketed as an EDC knife. What does that mean? EDC means everyday carry. So this is supposed to be a smart, cool looking, compact tool that you keep in your pocket every day with you. And you can use it to open boxes, to cut rope, to slice a seatbelt open, to cut your lunch meat, or God forbid, to use in a self-defense situation. If you ever find yourself accosted by 3 guys who want to beat you to a pulp and bury you in the desert, or by someone who's got a gun and wants to steal your car with your wife and small children still in it. The fact that this is marketed as an EDC knife, as a multi-purpose tool, is what's really key. Because the intention is that you have this thing with you all the time. It's comfortable, it's light, you like to take it with you, you use it all the time. And that way, in the rare event that you ever need to use it for self-defense, you've got it with you. The biggest knock against traditional self-defense weapons, whether it's a gun or a pepper spray or a stun gun, is that you don't have it on you when you need it most, right? You're going to the grocery store, or you're going to your kid's baseball game, or you're just driving across town and you think, oh, I don't really need it. I'm not going to a dangerous place. But then something happens, someone comes out of nowhere, there's a road rage incident, whatever it is, and you find you need something and you don't have it on you. So the best thing going for the Axial Dart is that it is marketed as an EDC knife. It's meant to take with you every day, wherever you go. It's like putting on a watch or bringing your phone or bringing your wallet. And because of that, if you ever need it, you'll have it on you. So what kind of knife is this? The Axial Dart is an automatic double action OTF knife. And what does all of that mean? It's an automatic because there's a thumb slide over here on the side. And when you put pretty significant pressure on that thumb slide and push it forward, the spring-loaded blade shoots out the front and it locks into place. Another name for an automatic knife is a switchblade, but people don't usually call them switchblades anymore because they have a bad rap being associated with gangs, and they were outlawed in the 50s, and only recently have the laws changed which allow switchblades or automatic knives to be carried on you with some restrictions. So it is an automatic knife, it is a switchblade, and what makes it automatic is that when you push the blade to come forward, you don't just manually press the same amount of pressure the whole way, it's spring-loaded. So there's resistance and then it pops out. This knife is double action because the same thumb slide that pushes the blade out and locks it into place also retracts it back into the handle. So you see I'm just pushing on this thumb slide, it comes out, it's locked, it will stay locked, but if I pull back on that thumb slide, it will zip it right back into place. So it has that nice tight feel. A lot of automatic knives are single action, so you press a lever or a thumb slide, the blade comes out and locks, but then in order to get the blade back in the sheath, you've got to manually grab the base of the knife and press a button and pull it back to its original starting position. What's nice about this is it's all done in one motion. OTF stands for out the front. So when you press this thumb slide, the blade comes out the front of the knife. There are other automatic knives where the blade comes out the side, like a folding knife. That would be like your traditional switchblade. So OTF just means out the front. So what are some of the pros of this knife? Well, there's actually quite a bit to like about it. The first is that the blade on the Dart is just under 2 inches long. And that's important for a number of reasons. One, because it makes this thing not look so intimidating. You can put this on your dresser with your wallet and your keys and your phone, and it doesn't look like you're walking around with a big hunting knife, right? It's pretty inconspicuous. And the 2-inch length is important too, because a lot of states in the United States have laws restricting how long the blade can be if you want to carry it on you. And California, for example, has a 2-inch limit on any kind of automatic knife. So as of the time of this video, this would be perfectly legal to carry with you in the state of California. But you should also know that state laws can change anytime. So before you purchase a knife and carry it with you, you should just check to make sure what the local laws are in your area. Another pro is that it's a really comfortable size to fit in your hand, at least in my hand. It's compact, it's got some weight to it, but it's not overly heavy. But you can also tell that it's made with good materials. It's not this light, cheap, flimsy thing that's going to break on you. It's got a little bit of heft, and I can grip it pretty well. So once I deploy the blade, I can grab it in the palm of my hand. It's not overwhelming, and it's not too small. It's a very nice, comfortable size that would be very convenient to use for any number of things. Another pro is that aesthetically, I think it's just a beautiful knife. I got mine in a matte blue finish. It also comes, I believe, in an olive green and a black. And the blade itself is this black wash steel. Also looks really nice. It's a little bit like a piece of art. It's not a junky knife. It's beautiful, it's well designed, and it's very comfortable in your hand. It comes with a metal clip on the back so that you can slip this thing into your pocket like this and have the clip go on the outside of your pocket, so that's all that will be showing. And then you could reach your hand down into your pocket and pull out this knife so it's ready to use. And you could do this without looking at it. You can do this in the dark, you can do this with one hand. You wouldn't want to be fishing around your pocket for it or in your jacket. I like the fact that it goes right in your front pocket, or I guess it could be in your back pocket. You just reach for it, it's right there, you pull it out, and you can use it. If you're a fan of Apple products, you know how much care and attention Apple puts into the packaging, whether you're buying a laptop or a phone or an iPad. When you buy the Axial, it has a very similar feel. They put a lot of care and attention into the packaging, and you open this up and you can see inside it's got a beautiful carrying case. It's got a little pouch you can put it in. There's information in there that tells you how this knife has a complete lifetime warranty if anything ever happens to it. It also has free sharpening and free cleaning for life. So if you use it a lot, if it starts getting snagged, if things don't work properly, or it just gets dull, you send it back to the company. They sharpen it, they clean it for free. You know, some people don't care about packaging at all, but it's just nice to know the company put a lot of time and effort and energy into designing a quality product, and they seem to stand behind it with their packaging. Let's talk a little bit about the cost. The cost of the Dart is around $170, and that kind of places it in the mid-range for knives. You can go to Walmart and get a $5 steak knife. You can also go to one of several top knife manufacturers that have been around for a long time and pay upwards of $500 for a beautifully crafted knife. So what you're usually paying for is you're paying for better materials, you're paying for better craftsmanship, you're paying for a knife that's been tested year after year after year. It's not only supposed to be beautiful and functional, it's supposed to be safe for you, and it's got to work when you really need it. So this knife at $170 is right kind of in the middle. You can definitely pick up a knife that's cheaper that will still help you in a self-defense situation. There's no doubt about that. You just have to make sure you don't get something too cheap, because a lot of garbage knives will just break on you, or if it's just a simple folding pocket knife, the lock doesn't work well. So if you ever actually use it and press against something hard, the blade will close on your finger. So you're paying a little bit for the materials and for the technology. Part of what you're paying for with this knife is the technology. It's an automatic knife and it's a double action blade. And when you have technology in anything, you want to pay a little bit more for it so that it works and it works properly. This isn't going to help you if it breaks on you. So I wouldn't get a cheap knife that was an automatic knife or that was double action, because it's more likely that something like that is going to break on you. If you're going to go with a cheaper knife, get something that you're not asking to do very much. It's either a fixed blade that just goes into a sheath and it doesn't have to do anything at all. There are no moving parts. Or you can get a knife that's a pocket knife that you open with a thumb stud and you just open it manually. So there's no, it's not an automatic knife. There's nothing that is necessarily spring loaded that's going to break on you. You just keep it really simple. With something like this, there's a bit of technology to it. So it needs to be made properly with the proper materials. And that's part of what you're paying for. So how useful is the Axial Dart for self-defense? First, let's look at practicality. Is this thing practical? The fact that this was designed to be an everyday carry tool is, I think, what is, its best selling point. You're supposed to enjoy carrying this thing on you. It's supposed to be a treat, right? You treated yourself to a really cool looking tool. It looks great, it works great, it's fun to have on you. It makes that nice, crisp, snapping sound when you deploy it. By being something that you're likely to carry with you, it immediately makes this much more effective for self-defense simply because you're likely to have it on you. So whenever you go to the grocery store, whenever you're out for a walk, even if you're just getting the mail, you're taking the dog for a walk, anywhere you go, by virtue of the fact that you carry this with you, you'll have it, and if you ever need it, that's where it's going to be. And I can't stress enough how important that is. So many people find themselves in self-defense situations where they have a weapon, but they don't have it on them. Or they have it, but it's not on their person, right? It's like in their bag, or it's in their jacket, or it's in their purse. And sometimes things in the real world happen so quickly, you don't have time to fish around for something. What I like most about this is it's a cool, fun tool that you just shove in your pocket. You always have it there. And if you ever need it, it's right there. So that moves it to the top of my list. The second consideration is, would this be effective for self-defense? So it's a smaller blade. It's a 2-inch blade. But in my opinion, this is more than enough to get the job done in a typical self-defense situation. Most of the time, if someone grabs you or if one or more people come at you, the fact that you've got this going for you gives you a huge advantage. Your bare knuckles should always be your last resort, right? Even if you didn't have a weapon on you and you were finding yourself in a bad situation, you would try to find some kind of improvised weapon from the environment. A stick, a brick, a chair. Anything is better than nothing. So just virtue of the fact that you've got this strong, small, concealable knife in your hand that's readily available will make you infinitely more dangerous to mess with than if you had nothing at all. And the sharp blade on this would definitely do the job. I would quickly point out, and I go into this in depth in my full-length video on how to defend yourself with a knife, that if you ever did have to use this for self-defense, I would strongly recommend keeping this in your rear hand, as opposed to in your lead hand. A lot of times you see people in TV shows and movies and they have a knife and they kind of hold it out, waving it to intimidate their attacker or their attackers, to say, get away from me, I've got a knife. The problem is it makes it fairly easy to disarm you. By holding it out like that, someone can kick it away, they can knock it away, they can rush under you and shoot under you and tackle you and take you to the ground. I always recommend keeping this in your backhand, close to your body, where it's hard for someone else to grab or kick, and then you keep your other hand out in front of you. And you can strike with this lead hand and then follow up with your knife hand. So if you want to know more about how to use it, I would check out my video on that. And finally, is this a foolproof self-defense weapon? Well, I personally would never say that any weapon is foolproof, because even a gun can jam or misfire. Pepper spray can jam, it could run out. On some people, it just doesn't work. A stun gun could stop working, it could lose its charge. Sometimes it doesn't work through clothing, and sometimes your stun gun might just break on you. So nothing is foolproof. Overall, I would be very confident in carrying something like this for self-defense, but I should also tell you that I've deployed this thing probably 1,000 times, just playing around with it, using it. And 999 times it has worked flawlessly for me. But one time it didn't work for me. I pressed the thumb slide and the blade kind of came out and it was just kind of bobbing there. It wasn't locked into place and it was loose. And if that had happened in a self-defense situation, I might have been in trouble. It took me a few seconds to kind of play with it and get the blade to kind of get caught again, back on track and work. But that wouldn't have been fun to do. So I know personally, just playing around with this, 999 times it has worked great. One time it didn't work. And that's just something you need to take into consideration. Nothing is foolproof. Anything could jam, anything can break, things can happen. But you should be mindful of what can go wrong, because under the stress of a real event, things can go wrong. So is it possible that this thing could jam or not work or get stuck? It is. I would encourage people, if you got this, to play with it a lot, to use it, to make it part of your everyday world so that you get very familiar with it, to make sure that you know how to use it and you make sure you work out any kinks. And if it ever does stop working on you, you quickly figure out, oh, this is what I need to do to fix it. If you really wanted to go something a little more foolproof, I mean, a fixed blade that didn't bend or open, that you just stuck into a sheath, because there's no technology there, there's less that can go wrong with it. I suppose it can break, but if you got a good brand, it wouldn't break. Or you can just get a knife that has very little technology at all. It just has a thumb stud and you can open it up manually using one finger. Again, there's less technology to go wrong. In conclusion, I would say that the Axial Dart is a really beautiful, cool looking, multifunctional tool that makes a great everyday carry knife and would make a great self-defense weapon should you ever need it. The fact that it's small and compact and cool looking means that I will carry it with me on a regular basis. And as I said before, the only weapon that's going to help you is the one that you have on you. So I have other self-defense weapons that are bigger, heavier, much more cumbersome, and I just don't feel comfortable taking them with me wherever I go. And I realize that probably means that in the rare occasion where I'll ever have to use it, I won't have it on me. It'll be in my car, it'll be in a bag, or it'll be at home. What I really like about this thing is it really lends itself to taking with you all the time wherever you go. It's not intimidating, it's not too big, it's not too heavy, and it's a tool, right? You don't carry this thing and people don't look at you like you're a serial killer. Like, this is a tool for doing whatever you need to do throughout the day. But if you ever need it for self-defense, it would more than do the job. So I hope you like it. I'll provide links below and hope you enjoy.